Have you ever noticed how most people are always moving, yet very few are truly aware of what is happening within them? Every day we wake up, start working, responding, reacting, moving from one task to another almost automatically. Somewhere along the way, we were trained to keep pushing forward. We tell ourselves, I'll rest later, or I just need to finish this one thing. Slowly, life becomes a race where we are always chasing the next task, the next deadline, or the next goal. Over time, we begin to measure our worth through productivity. If I'm busy, I feel valuable. If I slow down, guilt begins to appear. Many people even begin to believe that their abilities are limited to what they are currently producing, when in reality, human potential is far greater than what most of us ever explore. Instead of questioning this pattern, we often push harder. The mind keeps running, thoughts repeat, worries loop, and pressure builds quietly in the background until stress begins to feel normal. While the mind keeps accelerating, the body quietly speaks. Tight shoulders, shallow breathing, tired eyes, and a constant sense of fatigue are signals asking us to slow down. But the conditioned mind interrupts and says, "Not now, keep going." So we override those signals and continue moving. Over time, this rush pattern spreads everywhere in life, even into moments that were meant for reflection and connection. Prayer becomes quick routine. Meditation becomes something rushed. Even spirituality sometimes turns into a task instead of a moment of presence. Many of us inherited our spiritual understanding from parents, relatives, and the society around us. They passed on what they believed to be true, but often the deeper practices were never fully explored or explained. When the depth of spiritual understanding is missing, something that was meant to strengthen a human being can slowly become misunderstood. Sometimes people even hear messages suggesting that if life is difficult or if success does not arrive, it will be rewarded later in another life. When misunderstood, such ideas can quietly suppress human potential rather than strengthen it. Yet true spiritual knowledge was never meant to weaken a person. Its purpose has always been to build discipline, clarity, strength, and prosperity in life while developing the inner ability to guide one's own path. Today, the modern human being lives in a completely different environment. Information is available instantly. With one click, we can access countless perspectives, teachings, and interpretations. As a result, many people begin to question the older ideas they inherited, and sometimes those ideas do not fully connect with the reality they experience today. Without proper inner grounding, these questions can lead to confusion rather than clarity. Many people then turn toward distractions as a form of escape. Constant entertainment, social media, partying, or other temporary comforts, believing that these things will provide relief. But relief is not the same as peace, and distraction is not the same as alignment. The truth is that this restless lifestyle is not how human beings were meant to live. It is simply how we were conditioned to function. Society and the modern education system often teach us to develop the mind and the body while rarely explaining the deeper nature of who we truly are. We are taught how to study, how to perform, and how to compete, but rarely how to sit quietly to connect our body to soul. As a result, the mind begins to lead while the deeper inner awareness becomes silent. To change this pattern, the first step is awareness. When we begin observing how the mind constantly pushes the body forward, we realize that we do not always have to obey that impulse. A simple yet powerful practice begins with spending time in solitude. In that quiet space, we allow the mind to slow down and the body to relax. Breathing becomes deeper, tension begins to release, and the nervous system starts to calm. In those moments of stillness, we can simply acknowledge gratitude, thanking the Creator for who we are today and for the better version of ourselves that we are becoming. Practicing this consistently every day and continuing this practice month after month for a year can create a powerful internal shift. Slowly, the noise of the mind begins to soften, and when that happens, something remarkable occurs. The inner voice becomes clearer. The soul begins to guide the mind rather than the mind controlling everything. Direction begins to appear naturally. Decisions become clearer, and energy begins to move with purpose. This is not merely philosophy or abstract spirituality. Throughout history, many influential thinkers and innovators have searched for this deeper alignment. Steve Jobs traveled to India in his youth seeking spiritual understanding, and what he discovered there was not something taught in classrooms. It was the realization that when the mind becomes quiet, clarity emerges and the inner awareness begins directing the body and actions. That shift in perspective became part of the mindset that later shaped the way he built companies and approached creativity. Similarly, Wayne Dyer spent years speaking about inner awareness and spiritual alignment. Interestingly, he lived much of his life in Huntington, New York, not far from Dix Hills, New York, where I once lived. And his teachings often emphasize that when a person reconnects with the deeper self, their entire life direction begins to change. Many successful entrepreneurs and thinkers have traveled across the world searching for these ideas of spirituality and inner clarity. And after integrating those insights into their lives, their growth often became extraordinary. At its core, this knowledge represents a form of alignment, bringing mind, body, and inner awareness into balance. When this alignment begins to develop, the effects are visible in every part of life. The mind becomes calmer and more focused. The body becomes more relaxed and energized. Decisions become clearer, relationships improve, and opportunities are recognized more easily. Peace begins to stabilize within, and prosperity often follows naturally as a result of clarity and disciplined action. Real success, therefore, is not only external achievement or financial gain. True success is internal alignment, a balanced mind, a relaxed body, and a guided soul. When these three elements begin working together, life no longer feels like a constant race. Instead, it becomes a journey guided by awareness, purpose, and growth. And that is where real transformation truly begins.